Hey everyone, this is Snark with Snark's Domain. I had some weird audio glitch. I was trying to figure it out on my end. Happens every once in a while with the intro music, which is like a media file shared within OBS, and then playing both to the recording and also through my headphones. I don't know what happened, but they wasn't making any sound today, and I didn't really want to restart the computer after creating the stream. So these are the Drift Ice thermal pads, not the LT version. We'd already tried the Drift Ice LT. These ones say 13 watts per meter Kelvin. Not that I care about ratings, that's just advertising as far as I'm concerned. Let's grab the package of the other ones and we'll see what those ones look like. Just a sec. Alright, so... oh, there's a couple things weird today with OBS. I can't actually see a few things. That's okay. We're just going to roll with it today. Okay, so these ones, as far as Drift Ice is concerned, or Iceberg Thermal, these ones are apparently... Let's focus this for you guys so you can see. Alright, so here's the Drift Ice LT we already tested previously, and they're saying, right, 11.8, which we don't care. Specific gravity, 3.25. That's, I care more about that, surprisingly. And then these ones, they say 13 watt. So as far as Iceberg Thermal is concerned, these ones are supposed to be better than these ones. We'll see if that's true. Surprisingly, the specific gravity is 3.14, so it's down a little bit. And shore hardness, these are supposed to be softer with the 45 shore 00, and these are 55 shore 00. Same ratings, minus 40 to 200 Celsius. So let's see how they do. We're gonna go back to focusing on the card. I'll just set that over there. I've got the card already cleaned up, and let's do paste first. Excuse me. It's been a busy day. I just went to the store and bought some different fans for a tower cooler for Testbench 3. We'll see what those ones are like, how they show up in HW info. And I do have time to swap those out if you guys think it's a good idea for something different for Testbench 3. I basically need two 120mm fans. I don't think I can fit the 30mm and have it easy to swap out in and out. So these ones that I'd be using would be 28mm. Hope I have enough here. I should. Let's see if... no, it's always just too short for the VRAM to cut it that way. So I'm going to have to... yeah, I've got enough for sure. Just going to cut a nice long strip. And we'll check it for width. Both ends. Looks good. It's a little lopsided, but that's okay. Guess I could use markers more often for this kind of thing. Just make it a touch long, since we need a short one anyways for up top. That'll be good. Well, that one there. And then we just need one more. That's going to work. All right, we forgot to spread the paste. Sorry, guys. That's okay. We'll do that now. So when it comes to thermal pads and the plastic films that they use on them, I do prefer the smooth plastic. I don't really like that corrugated stuff. I don't know why they sometimes use that. You guys know what I mean, that blue stuff that you'd find on G-Lid, GP Ultimates, you know, even the, I believe the Upsiren pads. Using the blue ones, the Air Hot ones have the same stuff. I don't know why they use corrugated plastic, but because I've seen it before where even after the card comes back apart, you can see the lack of an imprint along where those lines are on the VRAM and or cooler, depending which side you have that on. So if you're not getting perfect contact, how's that transferring heat? I don't think it is. So yeah, I mean, air cooling's good when it's fans. But yeah, Fuji Poly, bring back the dislike button. Welcome to the stream. Also, thanks to Back to Hell for doing the sound check for me. Good names. You guys are great. I actually can't even see how many people are watching this right now. Usually I can in OBS, but right now it's, I don't know, it's not showing me that, so that's okay. So we're just going to do second peel here. Definitely don't want to leave any plastic. I like that matte, like, gray look right now. I don't know, that's just really appealing to me for some reason. It's like Battleship gray. You guys know what Battleship gray is, right? It's that gray floor paint that you usually see in restaurants or just like kitchens and stuff. At least that's the paint color that I'm used to in kitchens, just from working at a restaurant years ago, long time ago. So I already reshaped all the TGPP10. We got paste on the core. We're going to do a final wipe. This guy here. I did already clean it with isopropyl alcohol and stuff. Looks good. And the cables are holding together, so hopefully we get a few more tests out of this card and get the shims done before we have to, before we get to retire it to maybe a less strenuous life. We'll see. Then again, I'll probably still test stuff on here first. It's a good first test to like narrow things down, and if something breaks the card, I would rather it break this card than the new test card that we're going to be moving to. So, not that we want to break a card or anything, but if I had to pick. Then again, this one deserves a long life, if you ask me. Okay, got that lined up. So Taylor Sharp was mentioning the bits to use for electronics, and previously I was using this bit for all the disassemblies, and this is actually the JIS1. And it's just seen a lot of use, so it's getting worn. And this is the PH one. This is just the straight up Phillips. And right now, at least with these screws, having also seen dozens and dozens of cycles, this is gripping the screws better. Like there's less play in the Phillips head, so we're going to use it for today. Maybe I should order a replacement JIS one from iFixit. Hopefully they sell replacements. Or do you guys know is there like a better brand of bits that fit the iFixit screwdriver? Because we could go with like a harder tool steel set if such a thing exists. I'm not sure. Something I'll have to research for sure. So we got the card aligned. We'll start the spring screws. So I thought this card was pretty big considering the TDP of it. It's a decent size 3070 Ti. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same cooler size as the 3080, because that's only slightly higher TDP. But the 6800, not even the XT version, it's massive. I'll show you guys in a couple moments here once we get this thing screwed together. Just really big. If you guys had any words of advice for the best fan to use, 120 mil fan, that's going to be the most consistent for the longest for a test bench, feel free to write that in the comments during this stream. We do have possibly another couple days before I would be finalizing the Testbench 3 build. So there would be time to change it out before I do. Well, I could even do a couple trial tests first, which will take a little bit of time. But then, you know, I'd say no longer than probably 4 or 5 days, like max. It's got to be finalized before then. I'd like to finalize it in the next couple days, but so currently I've got Peerless Assassin 120 SE, and today I bought some Lianli TL 120 fans. It's got the controller, it's the 3-pack. My plan was to put those in. If you guys can think of a better fan, not for performance, don't really care about like the coldest possible performance. What I want is something super consistent, and that's going to last a long time. So yeah, that's the plan with that. Let's quickly clean the PCI Express connector. Some isopropyl and a mica wipe. Okay, so this card back together, right? That's our Testbench 2.1 card. We'll zoom out here so we can, you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, this thing's heavy. Okay, actually, you know what? It's not like, this one's just a little bit longer. But like, I mean, they're both kind of thick, eh? So this is the Zotac. This is the ROG Strix 6800. Sounds heavy because it is. Width-wise, the tops are roughly lined up there, so that you can see the Strix behind there is just a lot taller. And it's like maybe not quite a 1/4 inch longer. So we're going to get the test card out of the way for now. I will get that. OCPC, welcome to the stream. I don't know if I've seen you on my stream before. So welcome to the channel, I guess. Or I don't know if maybe that's not your first comment, but welcome anyways. Okay, so it's been a while. I took this card apart approximately 5 months ago. I just looked at the YouTube channel and that's what it was saying. So I just want to make sure I got this right. Okay. So the I/O bracket, I think I like this design. This is going to be pretty good going forward. The I/O bracket is attached to the intermediate cooler. So during normal disassembly, we don't have to take the I/O bracket off or loosen any of the screws. And there's a lot of screws on the back plate that we also don't have to take off. But there are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the X bracket ones, which thank goodness we get to test with an X bracket now. That's a big improvement to those corner like screw springs. This will last a lot longer, right? Spring steel in this form versus a little coil spring, which, like so many cycles with those things turning, I can't see that being as long term as this. But so it's these 4 screws plus these 2, and I'm pretty sure, unless there's some screws, no, I think that's just it, like the 6 screws. So, you know, for testing purposes, this is going to be great. We're not going to have to do nearly as much disassembly. Normally, we're gonna take it all apart all the way today. First time. Well, welcome. Okay, that's gonna maybe be a problem. It's gonna shoot. That's kind of unfortunate. I'll have to look into see if I can find different screws with it's a smaller bit size for these ones. So I'm going to have to be fairly careful with this X bracket. We're always going to try and use the same X bracket. I'm not going to change that. We want the force to be the same as long as possible. I might research the screw size and just make sure I have... Wow, that kind of just popped out. I'll make sure I have some spare. I might even have some spare on hand. We'll see. But yeah, I'd consider getting some spares for that. I have to make sure that the exact length. We don't want to change the length, obviously. It's interesting. Usually these X brackets have screw retainers holding the screws so that they stay as part of the bracket. Not always, but I have seen it often enough where they do. Oh, OCPC. So we just applied the drift ice pads that we're going to test on Testbench 2.1. That's the current test bench we've been using for the charts. This card here is going to be going into Testbench 3. We have to make that change because the NVIDIA cards only show 2-degree increments on the memory junction temperature. It's kind of annoying that it'll like show 82 or 84, 86 and so on, but never never the odd numbered increments, and no decimal points. This card, because it's an AMD 6000 series, will show 0.1 degree increments for the memory junction temperature. So even though this thing doesn't run as hot, like the memory shouldn't run as hot as the GDDR6 on the 3070 Ti, this has finer resolution. It's going to be more accurate for testing. That goes for anyone doing any kind of thermal pad or putty testing. If you're using a 3000 series or an AMD 7000 series, we are limiting ourselves on accuracy, and yeah, it affects everyone. It's not just me, so good thing to keep in mind. I just gotta double check the connectors. I believe it's just the two up here at the back. So we're gonna try split the card from the front. Yep, and it came apart nice and gradually. I don't know if those cables are long enough. Oh, they are. This is great. So I'll have to be careful with them still. And well, that was weird. HDMI 1, HDR. There was just a little video glitch for me on my end. This is Upsiren UTP-8 that I applied to this on a different stream 5 months ago. You guys can look at that if you want. And I'm pretty sure that should be a phase change. I can't remember off the top of my head which one. But if you're curious, and I'm going to look myself later on, then I'll definitely... but yeah, it's one of the phase changes that'll be documented on the stream. So yeah, this card I redid 5 months ago. Since then, it's seen about, let's see, I think it's 3.5 months of constant usage. So it's, I wish I could say, oh, you know, like 5 months, 24/7. It hasn't seen 24/7 for 5 months. I should be able to find the log where I can see how long it's been operational for. But, yeah, you know, it's kind of weird. Like I was previously doing GPU mining. I still kind of am. It's not profitable necessarily, but now I'm doing it for like a completely different reason, and that's to test cards. And not cards, that's to test thermal interface materials. So like even if a random coin just makes enough to break even, that's enough for me to like with electricity cost, that's enough for me to mine that coin so that I can put use to the cards. And it's kind of a random reason, but like it's better than just running Firmark 24/7 and not recouping any of the electricity costs. So I consider it basically just a wash at this point. OCPC, you are a genius. I don't know about that. Never thought of how AMD's newer GPUs use a better thermal probably on their GPUs and use them for testing thermal pads. And to use them for testing thermal pads. Yeah, like, so if it's only 2 degrees increment, it does limit the accuracy. That's the problem with Testbench 2. The only saving factor is that I did run. What am I doing here? We're gonna salvage this stuff. I'm gonna get my gloves on really quick. And I did contact. I'm really horrible with names, so I'm just gonna forget the name for this moment. But the guy with HW Info, and I was like, hey, is it possible to have this show up in 0.1 1 degree increments for the RTX 30 series or 40 series, because I wanted to upgrade to a different card anyways, or at least show better accuracy on my existing card. And he was not super responsive to the question. He was saying that, you know, the sensors aren't that accurate anyways, so there's no point. And I'd agree with him for most users. We don't actually need, for like gaming purposes and stuff, we don't need better accuracy on the memory junction temperature than 2 degrees. It's fine. Like, you have a pretty good idea what the temperature is, right? But for thermal pad testing, we need every little bit of resolution we can get. Even if it's not accurate, it's still representative of the delta from the ambient temperature sensors, which again, they'll have their own accuracy as well. But it's better than going, you know, up and down 2 degrees, jumping around, which you guys, if you're paying attention, would be able to see on the streams where I'm processing the data. It would show up there. So this stuff's pretty clean. So I'm just going to save it and reuse it on another card another day. I'll make sure I use from a fresh container specifically for testing. But if you guys want to see, this stuff is still, yeah, it's nice and soft. So no issues there. Andrew Satopins. Is Honeywell thermal pad good for laptop, like for CPU and GPU? You're talking about the PTM, Honeywell PTM 7950 phase change material sheet, I believe. And the answer is yes. It is very good for that. So I just want to show you guys something here. On where the VRM makes contact with these heat pipes, I decided to like throw a little bit of extra putty. Now this stuff here is a bit more on the firm side. Let's see if I can get it to go together here. So it's had some of its silicone oil. I don't know if you'd call it like boiled off, or it's a little more on the drier side. It's still soft enough to form, but it doesn't quite hold together the same way that it did for the VRAM. These are lower wattage than the heat pipes going through. So we're gonna save that. We're gonna put it to the side for now. Yeah, so on the VRM, I'm noticing it is a bit stiffer. You could still shape it, but it's not quite as soft. It should still transfer heat well enough, but for reuse, you could, but it's just something to consider. So yeah, I've got to take some more screws out, I think. Yeah, so Honeywell PTM 7950, I would definitely recommend that as a solid option for laptops. We've had, let's see, like 4 or 5. I'm trying to think if they're all posted on the channel. On the Discord channel, there's at least a few laptops within the last week here that other users have used PTM, and it does require, I think it requires a burn-in process. Some folks might disagree with that and say, oh, just go ahead and use it like normal. The thing is, when you initially apply the Honeywell pad, it's going to start off, to the best of my knowledge anyways, either at 0.25 or 0.20 millimeters thick. That goes for most of the phase changes out there. I'm getting that information from a CapLink representative. CapLink.com is one of the like the large distributors of Honeywell products. They've got all sorts of phase change materials, but the 7900 series is like the current highest, specifically from Honeywell. But and they've stated via email that they commonly ship 3 different sizes, which I found surprising. That was new information for me. They said 0.2, 0.25, and 0.3. So what I recommend, and you could obviously do whatever you want to do and do a bunch of reading on it for sure, because there's lots of different opinions on how to do it best. But I recommend doing a burn-in for about 2 hours on a laptop with something that's going to stress the GPU and something that's going to stress the CPU at the same time. You want to melt both pieces at the same time on the laptop, and then the mounting force should be pressing down and applying enough force to squish it out once it's past its phase change point, 45 Celsius. But the hotter you make it, the faster it's going to flow. So even if your die temperatures are 50 or 60, that doesn't mean the top surface of it is going to be, and that doesn't mean that the cooler on your laptop, that metal surface, will be at that temperature. Even if it is, it's still going to be fairly viscous if you're just at 45 or 50. And there's also a tolerance there for a plus or minus kind of temperature, which I'm sure if you bought directly from Honeywell, they'll give you more specs than what we see as the end retail consumer buying from different sources. Whether it's LTT, Mod DIY, whether you're getting taking the risk and buying it online from a different vendor, which I do as well. But for testing, we basically test a bunch of them, including the Mod DIY. I need to get some from LTT. I'm just I assume that we all are under assumption that it's legit, right? I don't think LTT is gonna sell us fake stuff. And they know that, so they're charging for it. Same with Mod DIY, which was one of the first vendors to cater to the end users like us. There are other vendors out there, and some of them I believe are selling the real deal, but I don't have any guarantees. I just have my previous test results, which again, Testbench 2 for the CPU applications, not super accurate. We got to improve accuracy before we can have a better idea, I think. So Igor's Labs did some really good testing of a few different phase change material sheets. He also did Thermalright Hylos. I used to think it was Helios. It's not. It's Hylos. And he did something called PCM 8500, which is apparently some, I can't remember who makes that, but it's some sort of OEM competitor to the Honeywell stuff. And it did okay, but it wasn't quite up to par with Honeywell, but it was close by the sounds of it. But yeah, if you do a burn-in, I guess I talk in circles. Sorry. If you do a burn-in on a laptop, 2 hours is pretty good. That's where I saw the most significant improvement on my own laptop. I don't think 15 minutes is suffice on consumer, even your normal like CPU, GPU. It's not enough. You've got to burn it in for longer if you want to get the best performance possible. So when you first put it together and you're looking at the temperatures and they look bad, you're right, they do look bad initially. And Linus did a good job discussing that in his video from, what was it, like a year and a half ago or so, maybe 2 years ago, when he tested it out. It was my first impression too. I put it in my laptop and I'm like, oh gosh, like this isn't looking very good. Did the burn-ins and I was like, hopefully it's okay. And it got better. And then it continued to get better over the next couple weeks. So. Oh yeah, if you bought it from Mod DIY, then you've got no worries. You paid the premium for the peace of mind. And that's totally fine. So yeah, you should be solid. Turmoil stabilizer. What is your experience with heatsink surface and or die lapping on a laptop, if any? I have never lapped a heatsink or die on a laptop specifically, or any even CPUs and coolers. I haven't lapped. I haven't done that yet. I haven't done delidding. I think I've still got some older processors that don't have a lid. I think I've got an Athlon. No, I've got an Athlon 64 3000. I think that still had a heatsink, or a IHS. But it was the Athlon XP series that didn't have a heatsink, so... Oh man, it's because the monitor's going to sleep, so I have to like wiggle the mouse every once in a while. I don't know, I botched some sort of setting there. But I kind of want to unplug this to make it easier to like work on this for now. I think I will. We're going to take the gloves off for now. So you're doing a laptop, Andrew, and you're asking if 80 by 40 is enough. It's like tons. And I'm assuming you said that or you're asking if it was. I don't think you've bought it yet. If you've already bought it, you've got lots. If you haven't bought it yet, 80 by 40 is more than you'll use if you get the first application perfect. But if you run into any issues, then it'd be nice to have some spare. So, and I'm going to give you a hint on how to do a perfect application. In fact, we're going to do it. There we go. We're going to do an application right now, just for fun. One that we're going to toss out right away too. That looks safe enough up there. Okay, so this is different. This is layered TPCM 7250. It's a 0.25 thickness. It's good. It melts at a higher temperature. Enough for 2.5 laptops if you cut it right, to be honest. Yeah. That should be enough for GPU and CPU. Depends on the CPU on the laptop, because there are some laptops out there with a desktop CPU, and those dies are on the larger size, I would say. Oh shoot, I gotta check a message here. In a sec. We're gonna do this application, then I'll check the phone. And I might have to continue this stream later, we'll see. So for this die, if I was applying this right now, which we're gonna do as a test, I'm gonna get a piece of paper somewhere. You don't have to cut the piece of paper if you don't want to, but it's not a bad way to go. It's going to waste the least amount of PTM. So what you want to do, okay, that's too large. I want to undercut it by roughly 3 millimeters on all 4 sides. That's about 2 millimeters. Gonna cut a bit more off. You don't want to cut. See, that's good that way. Now I need to cut another 1/4 inch off that direction. Yeah, I mean, that's good enough, right? You guys can kind of, let's zoom in on that and see. And I'll focus it here. You guys can see how that's smaller than the die, right? So that's the piece of paper. I'm going to zoom out here for a moment. We're going to put it on top of the layered. Just kind of holding it steady by hand. I have a big sheet of layered, so I don't mind wasting this right now. It's just to show you guys my recommended application method, because there's lots of people out there with their own methods. This one's mine. I've applied quite a bit of this stuff, and it's been working out okay. So I take a piece of tape. Packing tape. I cut it in half. So it's like 1/4 inch by, 1 inch long, roughly. And I attach that to a corner. One corner. And I do it on the same corner on the other side. Just roughly. And then I slowly peel. And it held together nice, right? Now, if you want, and maybe it'll make it easier to, well, I just pulled that off of there. It's still on my finger. And now I've got it pretty solid, right? Okay, I'm pressing down, I'm letting go of the tape for a little bit. Now we want to run our finger on the on that piece. I'm going to try not to get my finger oil on the die. So maybe I could use something soft, like this makeup wipe should actually work out okay. Right, I'm going to just rubbing it, just so I make sure it's going to stick to the die. Now there's one more trick here that I recommend. When you peel it, let's get a marker and draw this out. And then I might have to go out to see what my wife's message says. But okay, so we got the die here, or sorry, the PTM. When we peel it up, imagine this like plastic film on top. We're not peeling it this way. We're not lifting up. We don't want to do that. You're probably gonna lift some of the phase change material with it. Then it's gonna crack apart, and you're gonna go, "Oh no, I've wasted a piece." You haven't. It's fine. You could patch it together. The stuff melts. It's gonna be fine. But when you peel it at a steep angle back towards itself. So if I'm peeling over here, I'm not lifting up. I'm going to this corner of the card over here, or this side. So we're going to do that. I've got the tape there. This is where it's nice to have tweezers. Let's zoom in for this part. So I'm just going to lift up the tape, and I am just going to travel back towards that corner. And yeah, it peeled off fine. And that's most of the time, that's what it looks like for me. It just peels perfectly. You guys are wondering, well, what about the contact? You're missing that border. You're not. This stuff's gonna melt. Let's pretend for a second that this was PTM. I'd have to look at the specs on the layered to see what the minimum bond line thickness is. But if this were Honeywell PTM 7950, they say that it can melt down to as thin as 0.038 millimeters. That's almost 0.4 or 0.04 millimeters if I round up. So you're going to drop basically 80% or more of the material during the burn-in process. And what it's going to do is form around the die. it's going to melt, become liquid. The pressure's going to squeeze it down. It's going to flow outwards. It's totally going to cover that bare die that you guys see, the border. No problem. In fact, we just took it apart, and that's what happened. It's all going to sit around the border on the outside here and re-solidify. It doesn't conduct electricity. If it does, it's a really bad phase change to use. So yeah, that's my advice for applying a phase change. Maybe I'll make this into a clip or something. So I would do that. And if you'll bear with me just one moment, just got to make sure. Oh boy. Okay. Well, this sucks. I'm going to pause it here. We'll continue to take this card apart. I don't know. Hopefully this evening, if I can. Because I want to do the backside. I want to use the contact paper that Joe gave me. We're going to test that out. We're going to see what the contact between the die and the cooler looks like. See how flat it is, if it's nice and even, just to see what we're dealing with. We burned up a bit of time, but this is worthwhile, right? If we can help someone in real time see stuff, that's great. My wife is standing at my corner, guys. I've got to go for today. I will catch you guys when I can. Cheers.